you shouldn't have employees. You should do everything through 1099 vendors. That's the change that I made. It changed my business. I'm going to explain exactly why. I'm Ross, been flipping houses for 15 years, done over 300 of them. I own 150 plus rentals, makes me a couple $1,000,000 a year. And I do it without having employees. Does that mean I work alone and I'm out there grinding 100 hours a week? No, it means that I smartly preserve my bandwidth and spread it out to other people, and I don't have to deal with the crap that I used to have to deal with. Okay, so vendors versus employees. What do I mean by a vendor? 1099 contractor. You don't tell them when to be places. You're not managing their schedule. You generally would pay them one of two ways: a lump sum, like a bid price, or on an hourly rate. You know, it might be like a cost plus situation. And with vendors, I'm not only talking about contractors here. I'm talking about all kinds of vendors. The video I just did in this series explains all the different vendors. Obviously, contractors are one of them. Okay. And the employee is somebody who is a W-2 employee. They are on your payroll. You pay them at pre-agreed upon times, usually, twice a month, every other week. You pay them their payroll. You also pay taxes on their payroll, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to go through the pros and the cons. So let's talk about employees first. Or really, let's talk about the urge for employees. This is like some monkey crap that is inside of all of us, myself included. When, it took years to get over this, but I felt like I had to have my own crew. I had to have an assistant that came into my office. I had to have project managers. I had to even bring like the sales staff inside. I send out mail and get different ways to get people calling me, or I call them to buy their house off market, the We Buy Ugly house kind of thing. And, I felt like I needed to have basically this whole sales staff in-house, had to have an office, all that kind of stuff. And truly, it is just so heavy and it costs so much, and you are obligated to it. So I'm going to get into all the cons. Sorry, I'm hot on that. But there are some pros that, you have somebody that comes up to your office every day. You tell them exactly what to do, and they have to do it, or, they don't have a job anymore if you're a strong enough manager. So you have direct control. You have dedicated capacity, as the opposite. And by the way, I'm looking at on my screen here, I spun up a whole thing for like this whole series, this whole course series. And it's on my website if you want to check it out. That's what I'm looking at. Okay, so dedicated capacity, with a vendor, a 1099, you can't really tell them where to be. There are strategies that, of course, we talk about all the time. But, technically speaking, they manage their own schedule. With the employee, you can think of it more like an asset. You've given them a job. They're going to be there for the foreseeable future. Therefore, everything that you teach them, they get better, and that asset becomes stronger for you. That is a way to look at it. And that's, of course, the thing that drives that urge to have employees. However, it doesn't necessarily work like that, especially in this business. Okay. Now, this is the thing that the jump for me from having a corporate job to being a business owner was difficult because of this, understanding this thing. Okay. When I was in the corporate world, they teach you a lot about leadership and all that kind of stuff. And it really works. Like all the books that you read out, Simon Sinek, heck yeah, it works in the corporate setting. Okay. Because those are a different type of people who want to work in a corporation, and they believe in the corporation. Okay. You are just inside of that thing. Whereas when you become a small business owner, you are the guy. Okay. You are the leader, and you're also the guy that owns the company, and you're dealing with a lot of other people just like that. Okay. And so, the employees that come work with you, just think about the difference. Working for whatever, Home Depot corporation, where there's a huge corporate ladder that they can climb, versus working at your small business where, yes, if you're a great leader, you can make it stickier by creating a vision for them. But at the end of the day, what they're really working on is making you richer. Okay. And that they're going to get glimpses of that. And there's nothing you can do about that. So it's harder to keep people around for a long time. I'm not saying it's impossible, but also what I've found is a lot of the people that you really do train up, then it's like, okay, why help you build your business when I could just build my own business with the skills you gave me, right? You get it. Okay. Okay. So I'm not saying that as it's the end of the world and that you shouldn't hire people, because this is America. I believe in capitalism. I believe that it is great to provide jobs for people. I'm just saying, I don't think you need to do it in a W-2 way that may harm you. Okay. Also, employees, the longer they are with you, assuming that they would be there longer, they will get more alignment with your system. Okay, now let's talk about the cons. The payroll prison. All right, this is the main one, that every other week you got to hit that payroll. Okay, and also the bandwidth that it takes from you, because if you have to pay those people regardless, you want to make sure that they're constantly being filled up with things to do, that they're not just sitting there on their thumbs. And so you have to constantly be thinking about that. How do I get them work? How do I make sure that they're not standing around? You know, if it's a crew member or if they're in your office, like, oh, I don't want to give them just busy work. I want them to do things that build my business. And that becomes really stressful. Okay. And I don't like that. I don't want to have that weight. You know, if I, for instance, we're getting ready to go on a vacation. Okay, if you have employees, the thought is that, okay, I have employees so they can do this work for me while I'm gone. My thought would be more like, oh gosh, how much downtime and wasted time am I going to be paying for that doesn't actually produce growth in the business? And with vendors, as we're going to get to, 1099s, doesn't matter, not my problem. And I can squeeze down and expand as I want to, right? Because I have an endless supply of vendors. I look out my office window. There's all kinds of people I could go talk to and see if they wanted some of my business. Okay, other cons, you got to pay the taxes for them. If they do leave, it's really harmful, mentally even, because you've spent so much time training them up. It kind of pisses you off. The biggest one of all is you own the problems. All right, this is the whole crew member thing. And anybody, you know, office staff, whatever. When you hire a vendor and a problem happens, that vendor has to go deal with the problems before they get whatever their, you know, contract price was. And with an employee, when they mess something up, you have to continue to pay them to go fix the thing that they messed up. You can't say, hey, I'm going to dock your pay, or I'm going to hold off your next paycheck until you get these things done. Pretty sure that's illegal. All right, so you own all the problems. And guys, I don't care how good you are, there are going to be problems. Now, maybe you're a person who loves Simon Sinek. He's the leadership guy. And that's all you want to do. Great, you know, awesome, fine. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about how to create a profitable real estate empire. You know, what I've found is it's not through employees, vendors, best thing ever. No payroll. They have specialized skill. So I go, if I need a person who is a bookkeeper, I go to a bookkeeping company where all they do is bookkeeping. They have all the other people around them that does bookkeeping and makes them better. And I don't got to worry about any of those problems. CPA, an attorney. You know, I went through the whole list, but, you know, think contractors. Okay, I got a roofing contractor who does roofing, and hopefully, you know, they've squeezed their prices down. Whereas if I try to have a crew member do that is like the jack of all trades, master of none. You get it. Okay, easy to flex, like I said about the vacation. Okay, if I'm going on vacation, you know, I'm going to start picking up a little bit less here. I'm going to contract down. I could not do that with an employee because I still need to pay them weekly. I still have to create work for them to do. And so At certain times of the year, I expand. A lot more vendors. I need more contractors. I need more wholesalers. I need more realtors, whatever. And during different points of the economy, it's been a slow time for a little bit. So I've kind of gotten contracted. Whereas a few years ago, as many vendors as I could come up with. And so I spent a lot of time recruiting new contractors and wholesalers, et cetera, et cetera. And here's the biggest thing is they hunt what they eat. Okay. The employee is safe. You've given them a safe haven. Great. You've done your job. You have carried out your obligation to them to give them a safe, consistent job. We're humans. All right. Water flows the way that it flows. And anybody would be inclined to start to get lazy on things if they were taken care of. That's just what happens. And the vendors have to hunt for what they eat. Therefore, they're always hungry and they're always trying to work their butts off. The whole rental car thing, whatever, Hertz was like number one forever. And Avis came out with the marketing scheme that was, we're second place, so we try harder. It's that kind of thing. They got to hunt what they eat. So they're always trying harder. That's what you want. Okay. Not sure if I got the companies right, but I think it was Hertz and Avis. All right. You have less control of them. You can't tell them where to be, like how they're going to, you can tell them, hey, I want the dishes done and I'll pay you this much to have the dishes done, but I can't tell you how to put the plates on the racks. Less loyalty. I mean, their business is a pie and you are a small slither of it. We're going to talk about strategies to become a bigger slither of it and, be more important to their business. And that gets you different interactions. But for the most part, you are just a piece of their business. Okay. But I will say this about employees. You are a resume builder for their true asset, right? The asset is their resume. It's not your business. All right. Hopefully I made the point. Vendors over employees, all kinds of advantages. And, truly this comes back to the same thing I always say. The true asset is you. Okay. Your skills, your workflows, the way that you recruit these guys and manage these guys, which we're going to get to in the next videos in this series. But that is the true asset. Okay. You don't want to be in the position, it is not being a solopreneur. It's not being free like we talk about. If you are constantly concerned that, what if this employee quits? If this employee quit, it would be the end of the world for me because I would have to go replace them. No, I mean, not saying that they don't matter. They do a lot. And, if you have employees, you have obligations to them. But I'm saying that if you ever find yourself in the position where you're worried about one person leaving and you're losing sleep over that, that means that you got some work to do because the true asset needs to be you. And once you've done that, then you can provide more jobs. And that job, once again, doesn't need to be a W-2 where you have payroll. It could be a job where you're giving a contractor 50% or better of the work that they get. And that is putting food on their plate and probably all the guys that they have working for them's plate. So you are, in essence, being more of an entrepreneur, a person who creates jobs. That's the idea. Check out this next video in the series where I'm going to show you where offloading bandwidth, basically I am constantly working to offload my bandwidth, basically working my ass off to be lazy. And that concept gives me freedom or gives me the ability to scale to multi-million dollars. That's what it's all about. It's offloading. And being lazy is the same thing as scaling, same strategies, just depends how you use that extra bandwidth. Also, guys, I got a free for now school community. It's linked in the description. Check it out. I'll see you in the next video.